Diversity.
It needs to be looked at as a core part of anybody's business.
Equity.
We deserve to be at Google.
And inclusion.
I identify as a queer Black woman.
For April Curley, DEI is not just the new corporate catchphrase. This is her mission.
I know the impact that the work that I do will have.
In 2014, Curley was hired to be a diversity recruiter at Google. She says in her 6 years, she helped the tech company hire 500 students from historically Black colleges and universities like Howard.
What I sold to students, in some ways, Google made me out to be a liar, because even when my students came to Google, a lot of them experienced lots of microaggressions and macroaggressions.
According to this class action lawsuit filed in California's federal court back in March, Curley alleges Black employees at Google were told they didn't fit the company's culture or weren't googly enough. And when hired, they were often pigeonholed into dead-end jobs with less visibility, lower pay, and no advancement opportunities. Google's legal team acknowledged the lawsuit in this notice of appearance filed April 13th, but has not yet filed a substantive response.
After being very clear with my leadership team around the things that needed to be fixed and changed, they, instead of rewarding that, they terminated me and they retaliated against me.
Curley says before she was fired in 2020, she was subjected to policies and behaviors that she describes as racist and biased. Though not detailed in the lawsuit, she says these experiences were degrading and emotionally damaging.
It was white managers telling me that the way that I speak is a disability, and that I need to disclose that to partners internally and externally before meeting with them. It was her telling me that she was intimidated by me and that she was never looked at me for leadership opportunities within the team because she felt like I wasn't welcoming. And it was this same woman who told me that Google couldn't afford my promotion.
It's the ultimate case of David versus Goliath.
Civil rights attorney Ben Crump is representing Curley along with his co-counsel, Suzanne Bish.
I think Google is symbolic of America in many ways. They can recite the Declaration of Independence, but the question is, do they really believe it when they say we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equally?
And some of what we hear at Google is not change. It's not only not change, it's regression.
Google did not respond to our numerous attempts for comment, but a spokesperson told our partners at the Washington Post they did not agree with Curley's representation of her termination, adding, quote, "We have a large team of recruiters who work incredibly hard to increase the hiring of Black and other underrepresented talent at Google." According to the company's online diversity report, Black employees made up 3.7% of Google's workforce in 2020, with a slight increase 1 year later. Its data on diversity is far below the 9% national average the Bureau of Labor Statistics shows for the internet publishing and broadcasting industry.
There are policies and structures that continue to keep Black and brown people out of the talent pipeline. And so until they can be honest about that and actually fix some of those things, it will continue to be minimal gains, if any gains, in the DEI space.
This lawsuit seeks policy changes and back pay for Curley and other Black employees allegedly denied advancement at Google. The parties head back to court in July. Delia Gonsalves, WUSA 9.